This man was being accused of taking the life of a young man in his condominium. After searching his house, 2 firearms were found. This is the jury court that will decide whether he will be imprisoned or not. But what stood out most in this hearing was his hostility toward the judge, which quickly caused the magistrate to lose patience. Take a look.
So, from now on, Antonio, you are not required to answer the questions I ask. If you wish, you may remain silent. This will not harm you. But on the other hand, this is your opportunity to give your version of what happened. And if the facts listed here are true and you admit or confess to them, in the event of a conviction, your sentence may be reduced, it may be lessened as a result of this confession. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions so far?
Many.
Did you not understand something I said here?
Partially.
What didn't you understand?
I just don't understand why I'm here being accused of homicide.
That wasn't the question. Regarding the explanations I gave you, I explained that you can remain silent, for example. Did you understand? I asked if you were aware of the accusation. You said yes. So you spoke with your lawyers. So from now on, you are not required to answer any questions that are asked. Are you interested in answering them or not? Would you prefer to remain silent?
No, I really want to answer them.
So the question being asked here is very simple. It is stated that on May 20th, 2018, at around 4:45 p.m., in front of apartment number 42 of the Lake Louise condominium, located at 63 Elba Popsel Street, Juvevi neighborhood, here in Curitiba, Mr. Antonio allegedly killed the victim, Douglas Regis Junks. According to what is stated here, as described by the public prosecutor's office, he allegedly did this by firing a firearm. There is also a second fact here that on May 20th, 2018, right after committing this homicide, the military police officers who responded to the incident also allegedly found a firearm, a pistol, at your residence. Mark Stark, .32 caliber, and the team seized a serial number with 10 cartridges, in addition to another 14 rounds, 38 intact, 2 jet loader accessories, .38 caliber, a speed loader for 6 rounds, and also a holster for a .38 caliber revolver. So basically, what is stated here, Antonio, is an accusation of homicide, and in the second instance, an accusation of illegal possession of a firearm. Are the facts stated here true or false?
Possession of which weapon, Your Honor?
The weapons that I did not mention to you here. No?
Sir, it is a single weapon. Which weapon, Your Honor?
Here it states that a firearm, a Mark Stark pistol, model 1932.
That weapon wasn't mine. It belonged to my late father. It is a weapon registered with the civil police. My father passed away in 2003, and this weapon was registered and licensed. It belonged to my late father, and it had been lying in a safe for 20 years.
So this weapon was actually in your house, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were in possession of it. Was the possession with you? The
Possession. If you consider that it was inside my house, then it was in my possession. It was lying inside a safe. After my father passed away, it ended up staying there out of forgetfulness.
It says here that this weapon also had 10 intact cartridges. Is that correct?
I have no idea. I never touched it.
In addition to another 14 rounds, it could hold 38 intact ones.
I don't know how many there were. 38? I don't know.
2 jet loader accessories.
Yes, that's right.
Caliber 38.
Yes.
And also a holster for a revolver.
Yes.
So, these items here were in your possession at your residence. Is that correct? All of them?
Yes.
Excuse me, did you actually have the proper authorization to possess this material?
That depends on your point of view, Your Honor. I had my firearm registered with the federal police. I was summoned by the federal police to register it, and I registered this .38 caliber firearm with the federal police, and then there was a surprise from the government that there would be a renewal of the registration, something that had never existed before. Back in the days of the civil police registrations. And that firearm remained there with that federal police registration. Yes.
Just to clarify here, Antonio, look, you mentioned a .38 caliber firearm.
Yes, sir.
This firearm would be yours, registered in your name.
Yes, sir.
And from what you're telling me, you had an expired registration for it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Let's set aside this .38 caliber firearm, which was yours and in your name, according to what you're saying.
It's okay.
What is being referred to here is another weapon, a .32 caliber pistol. And you already taught me that it would be your father's.
My late father?
Okay, fine, he was at his residence. Did you have her documentation? Did you have the registration? Yes.
Sir.
Do you have authorization to possess this weapon in your name?
No, not in my name.
Regarding the other materials, here are another 14 rounds of ammunition. There's room for 38 intact rounds. Did you have authorization to possess this ammunition?
I don't know the answer. Is it prohibited to possess ammunition?
Is it forbidden?
Okay, then.
If you don't have...
No.
What? The authorization is both.
Is it prohibited to possess ammunition? It is
Prohibited. From...
a registered firearm?
Didn't know?
No, sir. From a registered firearm?
It's prohibited, sir. You need authorization to have this ammunition? From...
A registered firearm?
Yes, you have the firearm, then you have the ammunition. Here there's another pistol, a NIL 32, which you also said you didn't have authorization for, and other accessory items.
I told you, sir, that the documents were expired. All of them, all the documents exist. They are in the case file, but they are expired. Both for the pistol and the revolver, Your Honor. Are
you telling me that regarding fact 2, there is no crime because you had authorization? Is that it?
regarding what?
Regarding fact 2, which is the possession of a firearm. You know very well. Antonio, let me explain something to you. We are dealing with two facts here, fact number 1 and fact number 2. Fact number 1 is a homicide. You know what this is about. Fact number 2 concerns the possession of firearms and ammunition. You are also aware of that. If you don't want to answer the questions I mentioned, that's not a problem at all. You may remain silent, but don't pretend you don't understand. Don't try to fake a situation here that doesn't exist.
Your Honor.
So I will repeat the question. Regarding fact number 2, we have here some firearms and ammunition. You told me that you did have the registration, you had the documentation, but it was expired. Is that correct? So there would be no crime because of this fact. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. That's a crime.
All right, great. So I'll move on to the first fact here, which states that you committed homicide against the victim, Douglas Regis Junks. What happened in this incident? Did you...
Do you want me to describe the facts in a certain way?
Yes, that's the question. What happened in this incident?
It seems like you're a bit rushed. I'm quite calm and ready to answer you and assist you promptly. Please don't interpret any kind of disrespect on my part towards your...
Honor. All right, maybe a bit on my part. So look, I asked you a question. Are you interested in answering? I asked what happened in this incident. Do you
want me to tell you the whole story of my... Go
ahead. Look, we have a charge here. It's about this fact that we're talking. Go ahead.
Very well. I moved to the Lake Louise building at the end of 2016. I chose that apartment because it was a peaceful place on a quiet street. My ex-girlfriend's mother lived in that building. I really liked the place and bought a financed apartment there. In fact, I put down a 20% deposit and financed 80% of the property's value. When I moved in, during the first days and months, it was very peaceful. Everything was calm. Everything was fine. As time went by, Your Honor, I started having to deal with the problem of loud music and noise. And this noise, its source, was the apartment located below mine. One day, I was sitting there hearing that strange noise again. And so, I slowly went all the way downstairs to investigate it. I called on the intercom. I went downstairs, I don't remember, to talk to the owner of that apartment. I even called him on the intercom. He said, "No, come here, let's talk." I said, "Okay, fine, let's talk then." I went down there, spoke with him, and explained the situation to him. I said, "Look, the sound here in your apartment is a bit loud. I'd like to make you a suggestion. Let's leave the stereo at the same volume it was. And let's go up to my apartment together so you can hear the noise you make in my home." Very well. And he agreed and said, "No, I'll go there, yes. So let's go." We went upstairs, entered my apartment. He closed his apartment door, left the stereo at the highest volume, and came into my place with me. I closed the door, and we went to the living room together. And I said to him, "Look, listen." Boom. Then I went with him. In my bedroom, I said, "Sit here on my bed. Can you hear it?" Because you couldn't really tell what kind of music it was. It was the bass sound that reverberated, that went boom. Later, I understood when I went back to his apartment why that was. But we'll get to that. Then he said, "You really can hear it here? Really?" It's interesting that you can only hear the boom. Okay. So, all right, I am sure that you completely understand exactly what the problem is here. And because of that, I am just politely asking you if you could please turn the volume down just a little bit. Then, after thinking about it for a moment, he looked at me and said, "Okay, that is perfectly fine with me." I walked him to the door of my apartment. The door to my apartment was still open. He called the elevator. When he got into the elevator, he turned to me like this. And he said, "Look, I'll turn it down a bit, but I'm not going to stop. Okay? All right." I close the door, life goes on, right? Some more time goes by. I don't know, 2 or 3 months. I don't remember the exact amount of time. Once again, I faced the exact same problem. And then I finally realized exactly why it was happening. It was because his speaker was pressed directly up against the structural pillar in my living room and also in my bedroom. Consequently, that heavy bass sound reverberation would pass straight through the solid pillar and echo loudly inside my entire apartment. And if once again I talk to him, "Do you really think it will work? Lou, come over here for a second. Everything went perfectly fine. Listen, I have a really great idea. I am going to buy you the absolute best pair of headphones in the entire world. Just tell me the specific brand you like, Douglas, please. I mean, whichever one you truly want. Maybe Messi's or not Neymar's, really anyone at all. You just put on those headphones and then you will be able to listen with much better sound quality. It is going to be absolutely spectacular." No, 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 no. That is honestly such a weird way to go about it. That guy was acting so strange that I really did not know what to think of him. I just said, "Okay, thanks." And then I slowly made my way all the way back up to my apartment. One fine day, he buzzes my intercom and says, "Antonio, I spoke with the doorman. I know there are parking spots available in the building, in the garage for rent." I said, "There are." "No, because you know what it is? My girlfriend is going to come live with me, and she's going to need a spot to park her car." I said, "No problem. It's spot number such and such. Just use it." "No, but how much does it cost?" "I don't know. Check it out. I charge the same as the other one." It was like 150 rees. "And how do I pay you?" I said, "However you want, man. We'll figure it out later. It's no problem at all. Just go ahead and use it." All right? Then the girl came. And then things changed quite a bit because there was music playing in the afternoon, especially on the weekends, which was perfectly fine. He would go out for a while, but then he would eventually come back with the girl. Probably the two of them, now I'm getting into speculation here, probably the two of them, already tipsy from drinking, would start arguing a lot out of jealousy. He was very jealous of that girl. "You're looking at so and so. You kept looking. I saw it because of this, because of that." And the girl would start crying, 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 crying. She cried, and there it was, 2 in the morning during carnival. My mother-in-law next to me couldn't hear a thing. My mother-in-law would take 3 frontal pills to sleep, and the world could fall apart, and she still wouldn't hear it. And I was experiencing that drama right there that the guy was going through. And it went on for 1 weekend, then 2, then 3, then 4. Suddenly it was over. There was no more fighting, shouting, or arguments with the girl or with him. Some more time passed, and he called me. "Neighbor, hey, I decided to settle up the garage with you. My wife left. I won't be using it anymore. How much do I owe you?" I said, "You don't owe me anything, man. I'm really sorry that your wife left and your relationship didn't work out. You don't even have to pay me." 150 bucks. It was 30 days for the girl. All right? So, okay. Then this last time, What happened, the tragedy that happened, was something horrible. I had recently taken a wonderful trip down to Santa Catarina, and I finally came back home late this past Sunday evening. And I got to my girlfriend's house. She was with me. I dropped her off at home. I had some coffee, made a little snack at her place, but I had a headache. I said, I'm going home because I want to rest. I have a headache. Oh, okay then. Go ahead and we'll talk later tonight. All right. So I finally got into my car, drove all the way back to my house, and headed straight upstairs. However, as I was passing the 4th floor, you could already clearly hear the noise coming from the elevator area. The noise coming from the guy's apartment, well, as far as I remember, I used to do that, but I'm not sure about that time. I used to go to my mom's apartment when I got back from a trip just to check if she was okay. So my mother is elderly. She's 92 years old. In fact, she's hospitalized, probably on her deathbed. And even her doctor called me today, but I couldn't answer. But I probably went to talk to her to see if she needed anything. And then I came back. When I came back, I went into my apartment, closed the door, and lay down. When I lay down, everything, and I had a headache, a migraine. So then I said to myself, well, okay. And I slowly picked up the intercom handset. I called the building manager to complain to see if he could do something about it through the intercom. And no one answered. I finally used the intercom system, called the neighbor living downstairs, and said, hey, please just listen to how incredibly loud this thing is. I have a massive splitting headache right now, so please, I have already asked you in every possible way I can think of to stop doing this. Why don't you buy some headphones or do whatever else you want? Just stop the noise. And then I got a response that I'd never gotten before. It came in a tone that was quite really rude, really harsh. So, come down here and let's talk. Then he hung up the intercom. I thought, damn, I already have a splitting headache, right? And I started heading toward the door. I'm a 53-year-old man. Now, Dr. Ferrari told you all here about the things that we discussed. And my neighbor looked like a Viking. Anyway, I have actually owned a gun ever since 1991, which was back when President Fernando Collor de Mello completely wiped out all of the money belonging to us Brazilians from our personal checking accounts. Perhaps most of you here today did not have to go through that difficult time, but I think the prosecutor likely did, right? We were left with absolutely no money at all, right? So that started a difficult time, a long period in Brazil, when people constantly carried a lot of physical cash around. And at the time, I had a company that worked with marble like the one on these pillars and stairs. And back then, many of my clients actually paid their bills in cold, hard cash. So when I was only 24 years old, I decided to buy that specific gun, that 38 caliber revolver you all saw right here, which was clearly shown to every single one of you today. I used that gun for my protection because I would go collect payments from clients who paid in cash. And at that time, it was also normal to pay workers at construction sites in cash. It was a common practice. So I have utilized this equipment with an official police permit and with a formal police registration completely legally for many years, without ever having had any kind of unfortunate incident or complication whatsoever. That gun was nothing new to me. Thinking back to that day, as I approached the front door, I remember thinking to myself that this guy seemed to be acting a bit too aggressive. He might even try to attack me. I went back, went to my room, opened the safe, a safe with an electronic code. I took the gun and put it on. It was tucked inside my waistband at the back, right along my spine. Because the goal was not to threaten anyone. If you pull out a gun in front of someone, you're going in with force. You're effectively threatening someone. I didn't want to threaten anyone. I was just afraid of being attacked. I repeat, by a man. And it's not just me saying this. The coroner said he looked like a Viking. And I went downstairs. When I got downstairs, he was already waiting for me with the door open. He had already turned down the volume so we could talk, because otherwise we wouldn't even be able to have a conversation. And so I said to him, "You know, my neighbor, but I have already told you so many times, man, you really should just go out and buy the absolute best headphones in the entire world. Please, I am begging you, don't do this to me. I honestly argued with them for a long time. We are living here together, man. I mean, we are living in the exact same building, so why would you even want to do this to me? I truly don't understand the point of me having to come all the way over here to talk about this again." The guy was, "No, it's because I'm within my rights. It's daytime. I'm going to listen to music the way I want, at the volume I want." And things started to escalate. That simmering situation started to heat up. And the tone, the volume started to rise. Probably the people who heard it started to hear the neighbors when the volume really went up. Then the shouting started, one yelling at the other. "Turn it down, don't turn it down, turn it down, don't turn it down, turn it down, don't turn it down." And all that shouting culminated in the following action. I'm standing under the door frame. His apartment is set a little further back. He turns around, goes to the stereo, puts it at maximum volume, comes back toward the door, and pushes me. When he pushes me, he sees the gun. Can I demonstrate standing up, or do you just want me to explain it?
No, you can just explain, Antonio.
When he pushes me with his right hand, he shoves me sideways. And as I turn sideways, having been pushed, the gun was along my spine, so the gun becomes visible to him. And I almost fall. As I'm recovering to get up, I see that he comes with his hand, trying to grab the gun. And I put my hand over his, and both of us grab the gun. But I don't want the gun to come out. And he wants to take the gun from me. Since he is determined to seize the gun from me, and I am absolutely unwilling to relinquish my grip on the weapon, the inevitable consequence of this intense physical struggle is that he eventually pulls me right into the apartment. At that moment, when we're already about 2 steps, I don't know, maybe 3 steps inside, he actually manages to take the gun, which passes right here by my stomach, right? Now, it really gets difficult, Your Honor. There's more space to demonstrate.
I would like to...
May I?
You may.
When this gun...
I just need you, Antonio, to speak into the microphone, Danny.
When this gun... I'm going to push. When this gun becomes visible and he tries to grab it, I hold onto the gun so it doesn't get away. I brought this gun there out of fear, as a precaution. It wasn't meant to be used. If, God forbid, he came at me, maybe I would have used it to stop an attack. But it wasn't for attacking. It was kept away. It was back here. Anyway, when he tries to grab this gun, he pushes me into the apartment, and at some point he manages to take the gun away. The gun comes out, passes here, and he's in front of me. We're both standing sideways to the door. The gun passes here. I put my hand on his chest and say, "Let go, let go, let go." By then, he's already here, grabbing my neck with his other hand, pulling me. We had already gotten into a struggle for possession of that gun. And when I finally say the words, "let go," look, you have to understand it's not a room this size. It's actually a small apartment with a 20 square meter living room. That makes an incredibly huge bang. I can't hear anything at all anymore. I just hear a constant ringing in my ears, except that the shot hits my wrist directly. That shot hits my wrist and goes right through my hand. At that moment, my focus, it's not even the gun or him anymore. It's the artery that was ruptured here, spraying blood up to this height in jets, you understand? So I was trying to get away from him, from the gun, looking at my hand while he was pulling me, and we both started to fall. In that movement, the gun was going like this. That was when I was falling. From what I saw, they showed it there. You gentlemen showed it. There were more shots. I didn't know that. I fell forward. He let go of the gun too. When that happened, I ran away from him. I said, "Stop attacking me." I had already been shot. And then I ran away from him, got out of the situation. I didn't know the outcome of that photograph. I don't have nightmares about it. I didn't see it. I don't have those images that were shown. I didn't look at them. I can't have a nightmare about that scene. I've never seen that scene. I've never aimed a shot. Never. Never. Very well. I get up, go up the stairs. Now, can I sit down? So, I slowly walk up the long flight of stairs. Then I head straight to my apartment. Once I enter my apartment, I carefully put the gun away in its place, and I enter my apartment so that I can finally open the door. Dr. Daniel even asked me that question. It was so automatic. There was so much adrenaline. People get shot in movies and just keep walking, right? As if it didn't hurt at all, as if it was nothing. It's crazy how much it hurts. And I left in a panic, still very scared by the amount of blood, because there was an arterial rupture and the artery pulses, and it pulses hard. When I entered my apartment, I wrapped a dish towel, a little kitchen cloth, around it. And immediately it started dripping. That's how much blood was leaking out. I left the kitchen, went to the bathroom, and grabbed a bath towel. A bath towel, a proper towel. And I pressed it here. Of course, it kept bleeding, but there was a lot of fabric to absorb it, right? I went down to my car and drove to Kajuru Hospital. When I got to Kajuru Hospital, I said, "I was attacked, I was shot. Please, you have to take this bullet out of me. It's hurting too much." The staff promptly opened the door and brought me inside, but they didn't attend to me right away. I said, "But it hurts so much. Give me some painkillers. You have to take the bullet out. You have to take the bullet out." Then the doctor came and wanted to remove the towel that was wrapped around me. I said, "Doctor, are you going to take this off here? Blood is going to gush out everywhere." "Well, but if you don't want us to treat the wound, we have to open it." I said, "Sorry, doctor, I really am sorry." Then he opened it, and there really was a lot of blood. Then he turned my hand like this and showed me, "Look, Mr. Antonio, there's nothing to take out. It already came out the other side." I said, "Jesus." Then he closed it up again with my own towel. I stayed there for a long time. My cell phone rang. It was my girlfriend at the time who called me. Her mother lived in the same building. She called her right away, and she went there immediately. And she said to me, "Tonino," everyone calls me Tonino. "Tonino, what happened?" What happened? I said, look, I got into a fight with the neighbor and he fired a shot. But the police are here. Where are you? The police want to know where you are. I said, I'm at Kajuru Hospital. 3 minutes later, a police car from Kajuru Hospital arrived. A military police officer soon arrived. He was a distinguished older gentleman and a very polite, respectful man. This gentleman said to me, Mr. Antonio, what happened? There was a fight, a struggle, and I got shot. I'm here. And how many shots did you fire, Mr. Antonio? I said, I can't tell you, officer, I don't know. Were there more shots fired? Yes, sir. 3 shots were fired. That was his statement, right? Today I heard here that 4 bullets were found, right? This officer told me 3 shots were fired. I said, well, officer, I took one. The other 2 are on you. I don't know. Well, so calm down, sir. You're going to be taken care of soon, and I'll stay here with you. I said, okay, fine. After quite a long while had passed, that same police officer eventually came back to me. He must have spent some time talking to someone else over the radio. And then he said, look, sir, I need you to understand that this specific weapon definitely fired 3 shots. Yes, 3 shots were indeed fired from it. And the very same person who fought so bravely by your side has unfortunately just passed away recently. I said, oh my God, this simply can't be happening to me right now. This just isn't real. No, Mr. Antonio, unfortunately, it is very real and it has already happened. This is really extremely difficult. And anyway, then a charge came from the public prosecutor's office. I was accused of killing someone. I always wanted to talk to the public prosecutor's office. I couldn't understand why. I wasn't allowed to explain this. To the public prosecutor's office. And the public prosecutor's office, with all due respect, Dr. Milton, I have a lot of respect for you. I already like you. But it is a legal system where the defendant simply does not speak at all. And then a formal criminal charge is filed, okay? But the local press takes this specific charge and publishes it just like this. A neighbor brutally kills another neighbor over nothing more than loud music. And my name is there. And the name of the person who passed away is there. When you are involved in a serious criminal case, it is often said that you begin the process of serving your sentence from the absolute very first moment that the formal charge exists. The press labels you. The press wants to sell the headline. They don't give the details. That's it. The result is that 2 families, not just the family of the person who died, 2 families were shattered. Mine was 2. I was 2. It's very hard. But I was the victim of an attempted homicide. And I'm here praying that I won't be convicted of homicide. Those are the facts. Nothing more than that. I'm here at your disposal for any questions. From you, from all the gentlemen and ladies who wish to ask me. I've always wanted to speak. At my evidentiary hearing, the prosecutor didn't ask me a single question. Not a single one, Dr. Milton. I am so incredibly sorry for venting all of this to you. I am truly and deeply sorry. Please forgive me. And Your Honor, please don't think for a moment that I meant to be disrespectful to you, because I wasn't. If I answered anything incorrectly, it was out of ignorance, out of a lack of legal knowledge about the subject or your question. Please.
Okay, so let's continue here. You said there was a disagreement with your neighbor, who in this case is the victim here, Douglas, because he used to play music at a high volume. This didn't happen only on the day mentioned in the complaint, at least according to what you said, but also on other days, right? Yes. So altogether, this problem involving loud music, it happened? How many times can you specify that it happened?
Dozens.
Dozens. How long had you been living in that building, in the apartment?
It's been about 1 full year and roughly 8 months.
And Douglas, do you know how long? No. Anyway, can you still indicate, even if approximately, how long this problem with the loud music had been going on?
About 8 months.
Douglas lived alone, and at a certain point you mentioned that his girlfriend came to live with him, right? In fact, he rented your parking spot. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So she stayed for about 30 days, as you already said. Then she left and he went back to living alone. Is that right?
And
How many times in total did you end up talking to him about loud music?
3 times, because as far as I remember at least,
So besides those 3 times you talked to him about the loud music, I spoke with him. One more time, which was on the occasion of renting the parking space. Is that it?
yes, sir. And
Any other occasion? Did you ever talk to him about any other subject, or did you have no relationship with him at all?
no, maybe just passing by in the elevator and saying good afternoon or good evening.
And then, on the day of the incident mentioned here in the accusation, in the complaint, which was on May 20th, 2018, around 4:45 p.m., did you mention that you spoke to him by phone or by intercom?
Intercom.
And then, did he say then that he wasn't going to turn off the music? Is that it? That if that was the case, you could go to his apartment?
No, actually, he said that he wanted me to go down there to talk to him to resolve this issue with the music.
Resolve it in what way?
Well, I don't know.
How did you interpret that? In what way?
I had already done that twice before. But this time the tone was more aggressive. That's why I got scared.
But what exactly were you afraid of? What did you imagine could happen? I was
Afraid of being attacked by a Viking because I don't know how to fight. I've never been in a fight in my life.
Did Douglas come to your apartment that day?
No, he always asked me to go downstairs. He came to my apartment the first time when he confirmed that there really was a problem, and he himself said, yes, you can hear it clearly here.
Okay. You just said that he called on the intercom. During the intercom conversation, was there an aggressive tone according to your interpretation in the way he spoke to you?
Last time, yes.
Then he also said, in an aggressive tone, that if necessary you should go down to his apartment to resolve this issue.
He said in an aggressive tone that I should go down to his apartment so we could talk again about this problem, just like I had done all the other times. But this time the tone was different.
Okay. You also mentioned that Douglas could be considered, let's say, a sort of Viking because he had a bigger physical build than you. Is that it?
No, sir. That was stated by Dr. Ferrari, the forensic doctor from the medical examiner's office.
All right, that's fine. But even if that's not the exact term, would you still consider him to be someone bigger than you, who had a larger physical build? Bigger, stronger? Yes.
I am a 53-year-old man.
I see. And did you then start to fear that you could be physically assaulted by him?
Without a doubt.
Given all this, you spoke to him over the intercom. He spoke to you in an aggressive tone, and he told you to go to his house. You mentioned that he was a stronger person than you, that you consider yourself a 52-year-old man. You also said that there was a possibility he could physically assault you. You. And finally, you concluded that you acted out of fear of that, all of it.
Yes, sir.
For what reason did you leave your house? And did you then go to his apartment?
To try to dissuade him from that kind of behavior, to talk to him as I did every time.
And in that conversation, you mentioned that you were armed.
Yes, sir.
What was your intention in trying to dissuade someone in an aggressive situation while carrying a weapon? Was your goal to talk and calm things down? What was the reason for the weapon?
Just as a precaution, I was afraid of being attacked. If armed, well, please ask your question and I will answer.
Please, you may answer. Go ahead, feel free.
I've already answered you.
So then you went to his house? Your apartment, was on which floor?
5th. And
His was on the 4th, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it was an apartment directly below yours, is that right? On the floor plan?
Yes.
So did you take the stairs, the elevator, and go to his place? To his apartment?
I think it was by the stairs, yes, sir. As a matter of fact, the specific noise that Leticia mentioned earlier in her story, where she claimed she heard me knocking loudly on the front door, was actually just the echoing sound of the heavy doors closing on their own. Fire doors. When they close, they have a spring and they slam shut. Plam, plam. By themselves. Douglas's door was open.
His apartment door, is that right?
Yes, he was waiting for me. He asked me to come down and was waiting for me.
But did you tell him you would come down or not?
Yes.
Did you say, so wait for me, I'm coming down?
No. I said, okay, I'll come down.
Where exactly was he waiting? In the house, in the apartment, right at the door?
About a meter inside the door, more or less. A meter and a half inside the door.
What did you say to him?
I've already told you.
What?
I said that I started to talk and argue with him.
But what was the nature of the conversation? What exactly did you say to him?
Douglas, please, could you turn down the volume? We've already talked about this. I want to rest, but I can't. You've already been to my house. I've already offered you headphones. I told you I'd buy you the best headphones in the world. Don't do this. Please help me. You're my neighbor. We live in the same building. We need to get along, man. Don't do this anymore. And then things on the other side started escalating. It kept escalating. And then Dakar kept escalating, and a louder argument started.
This whole argument, this shouting match, as you yourself said, lasted approximately how long? Do you have any idea?
2 or 3 minutes, maybe.
And from that point on, he aggressively pursued you? No, physically? Yes.
Sir. At the end of the shouting match, he turned around, went back inside the apartment, turned the volume up to maximum, and said, I already told you. He came at me like a mad, desperate lion, gave me a shove, and tried to grab my gun. I didn't want the gun to come out. I tried to hold it back any way I could. The gun was holstered, but it came out. And I've already described here what happened.
Antonio, I see you went downstairs carrying a gun at your waist, at your back, as you said. Is that right?
That is exactly what I mean.
To talk and try to dissuade him during an aggressive confrontation? In other words, you intended to talk to calm things down and make sure everything was okay. Is that right?
As always?
And you did this while carrying that gun on your back. Now, you also said that you didn't want to use that gun. If you didn't want to use the gun, why did you bring it? If you already knew beforehand that you didn't want to use it.
Doctor, that's a question I will respectfully answer for you. So please, don't take it the wrong way, okay? But I carried that gun with me my whole life. Back then when people only carried cash and I never intended to use it. I carried it for protection, I carried it as a precaution, and I used it hundreds of times during the color plan era when all payments and receipts were in cash. So, for me, carrying a gun is absolutely not synonymous with having any intention at all.
Right? When you refer to the Collar Plan, as you yourself said, President Collar, the 1990s, the early 1990s.
That's when I bought the gun?
If I'm not mistaken, he was impeached in 92. Is that right?
I don't remember if it was in 92, but I think so.
92, right? These events took place in 2018.
Ye-
Excuse me. Oh, sir.
Throughout that entire period, I had the right to carry and register that weapon. Legalized.
From then until now, from 1992 to 2018, almost 30 years. Is that right?
91.
91. Almost 30 years, right? Yes.
Sir?
Throughout this entire period, did you have the registration and authorization to carry the weapon? Or more specifically, at that time, here in 2018, did you have authorization to carry that weapon?
No, sir. I had the registration and permit to carry that weapon issued by the state of Paraná. Until the law changed.
Actually, that took place back in 2003.
It seems so to me. Then, that weapon was registered with the federal police. The government's message was as follows. Take your weapon registered with the civil police, bring it to the federal police, and register it with the federal police. No one ever mentioned renewal. Never. Later, renewal came into play.
Sir, you already said that That you have a difficulty, or rather, it's not a difficulty. You said you don't have legal knowledge, and you even apologized here for a misunderstanding when you gave your first answers to the questions I asked. So, to avoid a legal debate, did you have authorization to carry that weapon? Look, here we have a situation involving possession, registration, and carrying. In other words, did you have authorization from the state to put that weapon on your waist and walk around, for example, in public, to take it outside your house?
No.
At that time, did you do that?
No, it is not.
You didn't?
When I didn't have authorization, no.
Look, since 2003. You said the law was changed. So since 2003, from what you're telling me, you didn't have it anymore.
Of course not.
In 2018, that made 15 years. During that 15-year period, did you walk around? Did you carry that weapon on your waist?
No, sir.
Did you take it anywhere other than your house?
No, sir.
All right, perfect.
Including in 2018, I did not take it anywhere other than my house. I was in the common area of my house.
So look, at that time, no, not at that time, on that day, at that hour, you left your apartment and went to the victim's apartment. Then you said that carrying the weapon did not mean you intended to use it because you always carried a gun. Do you understand what the inconsistency is?
No.
You said you did not carry it armed.
I don't understand. You see, you're trying to make a connection between one thing and another, but it doesn't exist.
I'm not trying to make a connection. I'm asking a question. You can answer or not. It's up to you.
I used it.
When there was the organization,
When I had the legal authorization to use it, I used it.
just to make it very clear here, the interrogation, and that's all from here. The proceedings are not meant to promote any kind of argument or misunderstanding among the people who are here talking, having a dialogue.
Not at all.
So in no way will I allow this kind of thing to happen in the interrogations I lead.
Much less would I.
Who will make any connection of cause and effect, whether it's right or wrong, reasonable or not, is the jury.
Yes.
So ask the questions and you provide the answers. So
I will explain it to you in detail so there is no shadow of a doubt. Throughout the specific period of time when I was legally allowed to use that particular weapon and held a valid carry permit, I utilized it strictly in accordance with that permit. Furthermore, back in the year 2003, the firearm was officially registered and was always kept securely stored deep inside the locked safe.
perfect. And on that day, did you put it on your back?
And on that day, as a precaution, out of fear of dying, I put that weapon on my back.
Are you continuing here then, Antonio?
Sorry, really, Your Honor, Tom, but I suffered a lot because of this. You see? A lot.
Okay. Antonio, you didn't say that explicitly, did you? We're about to discuss and get to another point in your account, but a little earlier, you didn't actually use the word that you acted in defense, in legitimate self-defense, right? But according to your account, when you say that the victim came at you aggressively and tried to take your weapon, and for that reason then the shot was fired, what do you mean by that? That it was legitimate self-defense, is that it? That in this case, let's put it this way, the one who was in the wrong was him, not you?
Your Honor, I mean exactly what I said. I was the victim of an attempted homicide. The first shot hit my arm, my focus. It was in my arm and in the artery that was bleeding. What happened after that? There were shots fired at random. That's what they told me at the hospital. What happened? Because I didn't see any results and I didn't cause them either.
If you had not fired that shot, would you have actually died? Is that what you were saying?
I don't know.
You can't say?
Which shot? Did I fire it?
You just said there was a first shot.
No, shots were fired. I don't know. You said it was the one I fired?
So who fired then?
Most likely, Your Honor, those shots occurred during the physical struggle for the weapon, without any premeditated intention and without either of us aiming the gun.
And who pulled the trigger?
I just answered that. You?
You don't know who pulled the trigger?
But I just told you it's not that simple. The two of us are struggling over a weapon. And I pull it this way, and you pull it that way, and I pull it this way, and you pull it that way. Which finger pushes the trigger? How does that work? Isn't that like a game of odds or evens?
To fire a weapon like that, you have to pull the trigger, right? So in that struggle, in that fight you had with him, were both of you with your fingers on the trigger?
Both of us were holding the grip. Now, which finger? One was on top of the other, I don't know. The weapon was behind. Maybe neither of us tried to pull the trigger. Just the act of pulling to gain possession of the weapon, to take it from the other, could cause it to fire.
Okay, and that first shot, you said it hit your arm, or rather your hand, is that right?
That is 100% factual. And
Wait, did that shot actually go right through your arm?
it went through.
Do you know where that projectile went?
I know from the case file.
Where did it go?
The case file tells me it went into his chest.
All right.
The case file, right?
You don't remember at the moment, but looking at the case file, that's what it would be, right?
Your Honor, I didn't see it.
All right, perfect.
I didn't see that it had gone through my hand, remember, at the hospital? When the doctor said, Mr. Antonio, you don't need to remove the bullet, it went through.
How many more shots were fired?
I've already answered you as well.
You can't say?
Yes, sir.
The victim, besides the shot you already mentioned that hit the chest, which was the same shot that went through your hand, was it your hand or your arm? Where exactly was it? Can you show us?
Do you want me to show you?
No, you can show it. The jury needs to see. It's not a problem.
It entered right here, crossed all the way through the inside of my hand, and then it came out over here.
So it was the hand. You can say it was the hand. Is that right?
Yes, it was my hand supporting against my opponent's chest while I was trying to push him away and take the gun, to keep him away from me and me away from him. As a result, I fired because this hand was trying to push him away from me and take his gun.
Okay. Besides this first shot that hit your hand, were any others fired?
Doctor, this is the third time you've asked me that?
I see. No,
Please?
no, please, Diogo. Just a moment. Let's set some boundaries here.
Yes, sir.
We are here in the jury court. I am a judge and you are the defendant.
Yes.
So I ask the questions as I have already told you. You may remain silent, but to disrespect me, confront me, or be arrogant here, that's not acceptable. Is that clear? So let's make that very clear from the start. Okay? I ask the questions, I repeat. If you don't want to answer, that's not a problem.
Notice how the situation got pretty heated during this hearing. The defendant had no patience with the judge, and the judge didn't take the defendant's hostility well either. The defense had to step in and advise the defendant. Take a look.
Your Honor, I would like to raise a point of order very briefly, just to provide some necessary guidance, including to the accused, to the defendant, to Tonino Antonio, who is currently being judged here today in this court. The defense's guidance to Mr. Antonio is that if you believe you have already answered the judge's question, just calmly inform him that you have already answered, do so very briefly, and consider the matter settled with that response. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay? Other shots hit the victim? Are you aware of that?
According to the case file, yes.
And you can't say who fired those shots?
No, sir.
You also learned about this through the case file, especially since you followed the proceedings here, and the expert Edmar Cunico was heard here, as well as the forensic doctor, Dr. Carlos Eduardo Ferrari. They said, specifically the expert Edmar Cunico stated that he can confirm the first shot was fired into the chest, and that there was close range, whereas the others were not. In other words, he states here that the other shots that were identified were not fired at close range. Here, at close range.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to say about this, considering that you said that when you were restraining, fighting, arguing with the victim, you also explained that you were holding the gun and trying to push him, both of you very close to each other? Almost hugging, so to speak, right?
Yes. But the gun, Your Honor, on the first shot, the shot that hit my hand, probably also hit his chest. The struggle didn't stop at that moment. The struggle continued. It lasted about 4 seconds, Prado, from the start of the scuffle to the end. And the shots? I remember that I was always trying to move the gun away, to the side, you know? I always wanted to push the gun this way and the opponent to the other side. So it's possible that a shot happened at this distance here. It could have, because the movement was like this. And the gun like this, moving from one side to the other. It could very well have hit me.
This confrontation you mentioned, where exactly did it happen? At what location? Was it in the hallway of the building? Was it inside the victim's house?
I was underneath the door frame. When I was pushed, he tried to grab the gun, and so did I. Since I didn't let the gun go, he pulled me inside. The result of that struggle was that the gun didn't come loose, and both of us ended up inside his apartment because he pulled me in.
And then finally, moving on to the matter regarding the homicide investigation, did you actually go to the victim's private residence while you were carrying a weapon? Was there any reason for her to think you were going to do anything other than use that gun against her? Or did you announce that you were armed?
No.
Was it him who realized that you were armed? Because
He attacked me, pushed me, saw the gun, and later I found out through the case files. Then I started to understand certain things as well. Why was he so violent? Yeah.
for what reason?
Based on the information that I have gathered, he actually had 14 decigrams of alcohol per liter in his bloodstream. And according to the medical forensic specialists, that has the potential to trigger certain aggressive reactions in people who already possess pre-existing inclinations toward violent behavior. Okay?
The registration you mentioned regarding the second gun, not the weapon used in the victim's death, but the pistol, right?
And
The other ammunition, did you submit it to the case file?
my father's pistol registration, as far as... So, Dr. Adriano, is it included in the case file? It's included.
This registration is in your father's name, right? Not in your name.
It's not in my father's name, but he passed away.
So you didn't take the necessary steps to regularize this weapon. Whether it was to put it in your name, transfer it to someone else, or hand it over to the police.
That gun, sir, was left forgotten at the back of a safe. I don't even know if that gun works.
That's fine. That's all from me for now, Public Prosecutor.
Your Honor. Please forgive me if at any point I overstepped, but please try to understand I am feeling quite anxious and really very nervous right now.
I understand, Antonio. I do this every day.
Really, I'm sorry.
All right, there's no problem at all. I do this every day. But sometimes we have to point out a few things so the trial doesn't go off track. That's all.
You are absolutely right to have my request, but it is because of this anxiety that I have been waiting for this day for 3 years, Doctor. That's all. I'm truly sorry. No.
That's a problem, Antonio. I'm going to disregard the fact that you initially said you were very calm, so I realized that you were also not telling the truth at the beginning. But okay, Dr. Joel Milton, you have the floor. Feel free.
Sorry, I didn't understand what you just said. Doctor.
Joel Milton, you have the floor, please.
From this moment on, the prosecution will begin questioning the defendant. Prosecutors, broadly speaking, are those who accuse the defendant. In the jury court, their role is to try to prove to the judge and the jury that the defendant is guilty. Now let's check the questions.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Prosecutor. Good
Afternoon, Doctor.
I was just wondering, could you tell me exactly when it was that you first moved into this building?
Dr. Milton, I think it was at the end of 2016.
At the end of 2016.
Sir, this...
Incident happened in 2018.
Yes, sir. May.
20. When you moved into this building, did you buy it from someone?
Yes, sir.
You acquired it? At the time when you first moved into that neighborhood, was Mr. Douglas already living there in that house?
I don't know.
Did you actually try to investigate and determine from the previous owner or the current residents if the building was quiet and peaceful and if it was a truly good environment to live in?
I thought it was peaceful. I liked it. I bought it because my mother-in-law at the time had an apartment there.
Did her mother own a flat before?
Yeah, we got along well. I liked her.
A lot. But did she have an apartment there before? Did she already
Live there? She suggested it to me.
So did you used to go there or not?
Occasionally, yes.
And your mother-in-law, did she say, look, this apartment here is a steal in this building?
Ex-mother-in-law?
Right, got it. Did any of these people here have any disagreements or problems with you, or did you have any issues with any of them? No? Never? Honestly, would they really have any conceivable reason at all not to look after you properly?
The building manager would.
Why? It's
the feeling I have. If you allow me, I'll express it to you. The building manager, maybe unconsciously, feels a sense of guilt about everything that happened. Because from what I heard him say here, he shifts things and makes me out to be a complainer, you know? That is not exactly how things work. You begin to experience a certain gradual shifting of responsibility. And perhaps it is even involuntary.
You heard him right here clearly stating that you had personally approached him at some specific point in time, just to report this ongoing noise situation that has been occurring.
Yes, sir.
And he told you to record it in a logbook there. But regardless of whether he said it or not, let's suppose he didn't. No one...
Is going to record anything, right?
Exactly. But
You talk to the person, I talk to Your Honor, he says one thing, he asks for something, or you to me, and we go there, we chase after it, and we help each other out, right? More
or less. Because we live in a condominium. My condominium has to record it. What happens? So at any point, did you actually get the logbook? Did you ask for the book to make this formal record? Doctor?
Let me tell you, I didn't even know where that book was. Whether it existed or not, I spoke to the building manager.
But you were a member of the building's council, so you knew there was a set of rules? No.
I didn't know anything.
How did you become a council member then?
I became a council member right after all that mess. In fact, Mr. Arthur was always supposed to consult me before doing any work in the building. He never consulted me.
At any specific point in time, did you happen to mention that there was already this recurring problem with this noise there, this sound, this neighbor?
Yes.
You are a well-connected person in Curitiba from a traditional family? No.
I'm not from a normal home.
At all. No, by traditional, I mean, what I want to say is...
No, quite the opposite.
Yeah, but you have good friends here, sir. Didn't any of your friends, anyone say something like, hey, call the police, file a report, make a police report?
I didn't mention this to anyone. I only talked about it with the building manager. It's true, he says.
Right. But did you never think about filing a police report about calling someone there? But
when would I, a 49-year-old man who has never had any problems with lawyers in my life, ever think about a police report? The police. That's not part of my life, doctor. It's not part of my life. It's part of yours. But for me, it's something foreign, strange. I don't file police reports. I don't call the police. It's not my... Don't you understand?
I understand.
I'm saying this from the heart, okay? What is perfectly normal for you, for me, is not normal. In that sense, that's all I can tell you. But...
Is it normal to put a gun on your waist and talk to your neighbor? Yes.
Sir, if you feel your life is in danger, I think that's quite plausible. The
issue of weapons.
If you are genuinely afraid of being physically assaulted by someone who is currently inside your own house, then you should know that is exactly what I consider to be my common area.
What are you saying? If I become afraid of being attacked by someone inside my house?
The common area is my home.
All right. The main issue with these specific weapons right here is your standard .38 caliber.
Yes, sir.
It is. You said you didn't have the habit of carrying that weapon.
Was I forbidden?
Right, I understand that, but when you finally arrived back at your own apartment late that night, you seemed quite different. I don't know, washed up, looked for a towel. You
wrapped yourself? I couldn't wash it, doctor. It was bleeding out like that.
Not washing?
Just bandaged it.
Right, you bandaged it, it didn't work, you grabbed a bath towel. That's right.
Yep.
You bandaged it.
Exactly.
And you left armed.
Completely out of it.
Wait, isn't that actually a
very frequent and noticeable symptom
of habitually carrying it?
No, sir. Quite the opposite. Ever since carrying firearms was prohibited, that gun has never left the house again. But I put that gun away to open the door, and I forgot about it. That's how much pain I was in, doctor. That's how much pain I was in. I didn't even remember the gun anymore. And let me tell you a beautiful, interesting story. When I got out of the car, I parked the car at the hospital in the emergency room parking lot, and I was about to walk into the ER armed, just imagine.
After that?
I said, my God, I'm carrying this gun, I have to get rid of it, so I left it in the car.
Then?
Let me tell you, I even forgot to mention this to His Honor. The police arrived when I told my girlfriend where I was. Excuse me, may I?
Yes, sir, yes.
So when I told my girlfriend, I said, look, the police want to know where you are. I said, I'm at Kajuru. The police came and the police asked me, Mr. Antonio, where is the gun? I said, it's in the car. And the car, where is it? It's in the parking lot. And the key, where is it? The key is here. That's why they had everything. I gave them everything. Doctor, pay attention to this detail. Pay attention to this detail. I was so sure that the gun would go back into the safe that I even left the safe open. The safe was left open. That's why the police found my late father's gun, which is a gun from the 1950s.
Yes, but does it work?
Probably not.
Yes, there's a report there. They fired it.
With it,
They do a report and they fire it.
they fired it and it shot.
And then the
The ammunition must have been 30 years old, 40.
Now it's the defense's turn to ask questions. And notice that they decided to simulate for the jury and the judge what happened and how it happened, as narrated so far. Of course, according to the defendant's version. Check it out. These
Gap that exists, a piercing sound, then sudden death.
The folds?
First of all, I want to apologize to the jury if I went too far at any point, but it's very, 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 very difficult to wait 3 years. Being accused, being trampled on, being massacred, and having to endure all of this in silence the whole time. It's very difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, please really forgive me, but this is a huge relief for me to be able to explain this story.
Sir, were you a problematic resident there at the condominium? Previous building manager? Explain to the jurors how the issue of the dismissal or the resignation request of the previous building manager happened. You were accused of that as well.
Yes, that's quite simple. Since there had been a series of thefts in the condominium, I wanted to schedule a meeting with the hired building manager, but he would never schedule the meeting. There was a WhatsApp group, and so I just kept asking him over and over again, persisting every single day, until one fine day he finally told me that he simply couldn't schedule a meeting with me because he had various academic courses to attend and because he had to be at work every evening from 6 p.m. all the way until 9 p.m. And then I replied, so you are in no condition whatsoever to be the building manager? You need to be fired or resign. Because how can a building manager not be able to hold a meeting? Even if he wants to schedule it in 30 or 60 days, but if he has courses every single day, he's not fit to be the manager.
So then,
He probably got offended, right? And he didn't show up at the meeting, not even to hand over his position. And then Mr. Arthur and I doubt people would be so upset with me if, after all, they were the ones who elected me as a board member, right? Do you have the minutes from that election?
were you elected as a board member?
Yes,
Not yet in the case files,
but it exists.
because the minutes are scattered across several cards.
But it exists. That was after the building manager left. Then Mr. Arthur took over. He asked me, since I know about construction, he asked me to help him with the building's renovations. But actually, to be honest, he never asked for my opinion. He did things the way he wanted, and I never complained. Let him do it, that's fine, right? At
The time of the events, you were almost 50 years old. 49, is that right?
49, doctor.
Let's talk a little about your past life.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had any trouble with the law, filed a police report, gotten into any trouble, received any complaints, or anything like that before this happened?
Doctor, I've never had any problems with the law. Now I have it, but I never had it before. Look, doctor, I've been working since I was 15 years old. I managed the feat of becoming a businessman and had hundreds of employees, and I never had a single labor lawsuit filed against me. So it seems to me that it's not possible, it's not logically possible that I am an unreasonable person.
After this incident, has any other problem come up in these 3 years since then?
None. I killed 3 mosquitoes.
Before the incident, nothing? After the incident, nothing?
Nothing.
On that very specific day, you had already left the beautiful coast behind and were making your way back towards the city of Curitiba.
Yes, sir. And
This is the puzzle we're putting together here with the expert, with the medical examiner.
yes.
We would really appreciate it if you could take the time to explain this to us. Considering the fact that we are dealing with gunshots, we have serious injuries, we have a highly volatile physical dynamic, and all of this must be clarified for the record. Giovanni, Your Honor, I would respectfully like to submit a formal request that the defendant, with the assistance of our esteemed fellow attorney present today, demonstrate here in the courtroom, directly before the members of the jury, exactly how this mechanism functions in practice, and precisely how these shots were fired on that day. Did you execute Douglas?
Not at all.
So why don't you tell us more and explain these shots to us here? Let's go ahead.
Can we?
This is your opportunity for self-defense. Please. The headset, hold on. You can go ahead and speak. At this moment, we are currently standing right here on the 4th floor of this building. Tell us how it happened.
You go down here by the stairs and then come out right at the top of the 4th floor. Now, let's just say that right at this specific joint of the step is the exact line of the door to my neighbor's apartment. I usually stop right here when I arrive to talk to him, and he is standing about this far away from me. He had already turned down the volume so he could talk to me. And then I start making all the arguments about possible solutions. Headphones, turning down the volume. What can I do to help you? How can we solve this? Tell me what you need. And then things start to escalate as we talk and so on. Then on this side, things start to get more heated. And then on this side as well. And then the conversation turns into a heated argument.
I have a quick question for you here, Mr. Antonio, if I may. Did he actually do that? Insult you? Did he insult you, yes or no?
Did you?
Insult him back, responding to his insult? Was there an exchange of insults?
Because at one point he said, no, turn it down, no, I won't turn it down, I won't turn it down, turn it down. And then he said to me, I won't turn it down, go to the radio. And he went back inside, left your position, took 4 steps inside, turned the volume up to the maximum, and came back here close to me. And I said, but why are you doing this? You go and push me. When I try to recover, I see that you come at me with your hand here, and I grab your hand here. We draw the weapon, right? And you try to take the weapon. And I don't let you take the weapon. I don't let you. You start pulling me. Look at where the door hinge is. Then I put my hand here, and you remove it. Take a close look at this hand, observing every single detail and the way it moves right now in front of you.
Right there on his broad, muscular chest.
And the weapon is here like this. I say, let go, let go, let go. And then we get tangled up as we fall. The other way around now? You aggressively push me, desperately trying to grab my weapon. I really don't want it to come loose or fall. Then you forcefully pull me inside into your apartment. And I put this hand, let go, let go. First, this reenactment of the other noises, I know about them from the reports. I didn't hear them. When we both fell, I landed in front of you. I didn't see you. You let go of the weapon and let go of me. I get up and run away from you.
Every single one of the neighbors who clearly heard those loud gunshots can confirm this immediate sequence of events. Now, was there any noticeable interval of time between that very first shot and the other subsequent shots, or perhaps between some of them? No, there was not.
I can't say because after the first gunshot, I didn't hear anything else. The first gunshot after that, I only heard.
Immediately following the specific sequence of events that supposedly occurred, exactly in the way you have just finished describing them so dynamically and vividly here in this courtroom today, you made the decision to leave this building and go directly to the local hospital to seek medical attention. Yes. Which hospital?
Kajuru.
Did you flee the scene? Did you make a run for it? Did you escape? What happened?
I ran away from my attacker. I ran out of the building and away from the person who was attacking me. When that person let go of me and dropped the weapon as well, I ran from my attacker. I headed to Kajuru Hospital. As I mentioned earlier, my girlfriend called me and asked, "I'm here with the police. What happened?" And I said, "I got into a fight with the neighbor. He attacked me and I got shot. But the police want to know where you are." I said, "Tell the police that I'm at Kajuru Hospital."
Understood. So at no point did you try to avoid responsibility because you didn't even know what had happened.
But who told me, doctor, was the police officer who assisted me there, who stayed with me at Kajuru, a very nice, very polite man, a military police officer.
How old is your mother? 92. You lived in the same building as your mother, correct?
I brought my mother to live close to me because I was always very attached to her. And it had been a long time since I had lived far from her. So I rented that apartment so she could stay in the same building as me, at least for a while.
So a significantly more long-term professional care in regards to her well-being.
I wanted more closeness.
Where is she now?
She's hospitalized. I must say, it's an incredibly challenging and complex situation, doctor. It is probably going to be quite a struggle. Anyway, we must proceed.
Is it something that you truly believe in your heart regarding the nature of the world around us? Or do you perhaps have some lingering doubts about the reality of it all? Do you honestly and truly believe that justice will finally be done in this courtroom today?
Justice, the one who will deliver it here is God. If my fate is to be convicted, I will be convicted and I will be resilient in the face of my conviction. But I am certain in my conscience. I want to state clearly that I did nothing of these things that I am being accused of.
Now, at this very critical juncture, this is the exact moment you have to stand up and speak. You have carefully and thoroughly told the jurors what happened, providing them with your personal perspective and your detailed account of the story of this deeply painful and incredibly tragic story that took place. Do you have anything else you would like to say to the jurors today?
This
This is the moment.
Please forgive me for the unexpected and unfortunate delay in my response to you. It may seem like there is far too much excessive emotion involved, but sitting in this important chair is certainly not meant for just anyone. It changes your life. It's very difficult. We suffer a lot. The family suffers a lot. There are profound losses that are completely irreparable for each of the families involved.
This highly experienced and professional legal attorney is completely and thoroughly satisfied with the final outcome of this case.
Forgive me, Dr. Pedro.
There's no need to apologize, Mr. Antonio. This attorney is satisfied with the questions. Do any colleagues wish to emphasize any other point? Dr. Tiago, the defense concludes its questions to Mr. Antonio and returns the floor.
And the jurors, any questions? Very
Well, now it's time for the verdict. Do you think the defendant was found guilty or innocent by the jury? Before watching, leave your opinion down below. Let's see how many will get it right.
jurors, as we resume the trial session, now for the last time, I invite everyone to stand for the reading of the verdict. Antonio Umedo Rio, today we held your trial here. We heard witnesses, criminal experts. You were questioned and you gave your version of what happened. Next, the prosecutor presented his arguments to the jurors, and in the same way, your defense attorneys also spoke on your behalf. At the end of all this, the jurors reached a conclusion, and that conclusion is contained in the verdict I am about to read. This reading will be a summarized version, a bit lengthy, but later Mr. Antonio will have access to the full text if he so wishes. In this way, then, I will proceed directly to item 2, the reasoning. By answering the series of questions, the jurors reached the following conclusion regarding the first set, simple homicide. Item A, they recognized the existence of the act. Item B, they attributed authorship to the defendant. Item C, they did not acquit the accused. Item D, they did not recognize excessive self-defense. And finally, item E, they did not recognize the privileged circumstance. With regard to the second set, illegal possession of a firearm, accessory, and also permitted use ammunition. Item A, they recognized the existence of the act. Item B, they attributed authorship to the accused. And finally, item C, they did not acquit the defendant. And there are 3 affirmative for committing the acts described in Article 121 caput of the Penal Code and also in Article 12 caput of Law Number 10,826 of 2003. Or in other words, a conviction here for simple homicide and also for illegal possession of a firearm, accessory, and permitted use ammunition. And there are 4 regarding the sentencing guidelines. With regard to the crime of homicide, the final sentence is 13 years of imprisonment in a closed initial regime. As for the crime of illegal possession of a firearm, accessory, and permitted use ammunition, the final sentence is 1 year and 3 months of detention in an open initial regime, as well as 53 days fine, the amount of which was set as described here in the sentence. I waive the reading of the remaining items. It is hereby ordered that the sentence be carried out immediately due to the sovereignty vested in the jury court's decisions, and also preventive detention is decreed here to ensure public order. I waive the reading of the remaining items. Curitiba Jury Court Plenary, November 22nd, 2021. And
So, do you agree with the decision? If you were part of the sentencing council, would you have decided the same way? Comment below.